A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Silver Genie Adda webinar. My name is Sansata Sahu, and I'll be your host for the evening. For anyone who's new here, welcome to Silver Genie Adda, an online community where seniors and their families come together every month to connect, share, and truly build meaningful bonds. And I have to say, it truly feels wonderful to be with all of you tonight, surrounded by so much warmth, purpose, and genuine togetherness. And as we continue commemorating the International Day of Care and Support, we at Silver Genie are very proud to present part two of our Transform Care initiative, reaffirming our commitment to advancing the impact of the care economy. While part one highlighted innovative care delivery models from our leading experts, part two now shifts focus to developing a care enabling ecosystem. This conversation will bring together experts who will share insights on addressing caregiver stress and emotional burnout, designing care models for neurological conditions, and responsive architectural designs that shapes inclusive and nurturing care spaces. This gathering celebrates the International Day of Care and Support, where we echo this year's theme, Care and Support for All, addressing all rights holders, including both those providing and those receiving care. Now, care provision lays the foundation for the well being of present and future generations and nourishes human capital formation. Now, this includes the physical, social, and emotional needs of children, older adults, and people with disabilities through both direct care, like supporting daily tasks or providing emotional comfort, and indirect care, such as cooking, cleaning, and household maintenance. It is a foundational function that sustains the well being and stability of families, communities, and entire economies. And that's why on 29th October, we celebrated and launched a few key initiatives. First, we have the caregiver reflections, a warm, safe space where caregivers and care seekers come together to share real lived experiences. Our first feature was Invest in a Caregiver by Ms. Rama Sundar, who offers a heartfelt reflection on how caring for caregivers directly uplifts the emotional and mental well being of elders. And it also poses an important question: do older adults truly need materialistic gifts, or do they need compassion, empathy, and genuine care? I'll leave you with that thought and invite you to read the blog to discover your very own answer. Second, we have the Wanderlust with Care. Now, here we curated two distinct travel experiences that highlight our commitment to inclusivity, accessibility, personalization, culture immersion, and safety for vulnerable groups. The first was, of course, the customized Agra trip crafted for a solo international woman traveler. And please do read her blog as she beautifully captures her journey while exploring one of the world's great wonders. And the second was a cohort experience during the vibrant Jagaratri Pujo in Chandan Nagar, West Bengal. And the blog is penned down by our very own participants who celebrated this incredible festival along with us. And finally, Silver Genie was invited to participate in strategies for financing care under UN Women's Transform Care Investment Initiative, Asia Pacific. And it was organized by UN Women India Country Office, UN Women Knowledge and Partnership Center in the Republic of Korea, and the UN Women Asia and the Pacific, and supported by the European Union and the Government of Korea. Together, let's deepen our understanding of what it means to nurture care ecosystems, ones where caregivers feel supported, communities remain meaningfully connected, and dignity becomes a collective priority. Because care should not only offer comfort, but it should also pave the way for strength, agency, and empowerment. And with that thought, let's jump right into our session. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our moderator for this evening, Mr. Arvind Mittal. He is the business head at Money Madan Ventures Private Limited with professional experiences across India and Dubai. Beyond work, he is a very devoted son, husband, and father, and someone who gives generously as a social worker and wellness mentor. He is a barefoot marathoner, cyclist, and swimmer, and he has inspired many people, including late beginners, to take their first step toward a healthier life. What truly stands out is the balance he brings between work and well being, service and self growth. With a grounded, empathetic approach shaped by real experience, he continues to show that fitness, mindset, and purpose have no age limit. Welcome, Arvind sir, and thank you so much for being part of our Adda.
Thank you. Shubh Labh.
Yes. Now, introducing our very first speaker of the event, Miss Devi Mani. Ma'am started Skook, a health tech focused on the well being of children and parents. Skook works on outcome based therapy and interventions backed by AI led insights and data patterns to predict behaviors. Before turning entrepreneur, she was the head of total rewards, mergers, acquisitions, divestitures, and offshoring for Asia Pacific and Japan at HP Enterprise. Prior to that, she has worked at Target Corp, IBM, and GE for 23 years. And ma'am also holds a master's in statistics. We welcome you, ma'am, to our first and your first at our webinar. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I am very delighted to introduce our second panelist, Ms. Avitesh Vaishnavi Nayak. She is the Young Achiever Award winner, research scholar, and an inspiring young leader with over a dozen published papers in architecture. Driven by a deep commitment to society, she founded Mam Gram Samradhaya, an initiative that empowers children from underprivileged communities with education and hope. She serves as an EC member of the IIA Haryana chapter and marketing chair of Asocham Gem Haryana, and her contributions led to her nomination to the Disha committee in Bulandshahr. Her current work spans across Black architecture, renewable energy, rural development, and the circular economy. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for being part of our webinar today.
Thank you so much, Sansita. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here on this platform. Thank you, Arvind ji, and looking
Thank
forward
you.
for a positive and wonderful discussion.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And last but definitely not the least, introducing our third speaker, Ms. Anuradha Bhattacharjee. Our next speaker brings over 2 decades of rich social sector experience across India, Bangladesh, and the Philippines. She currently serves as a communications consultant with Tribeca Healthcare and CuraFoot India and is an international consultant supporting donor agencies with evaluations and program reports. She is also the president of governing body of Tomorrow's Foundation. She leads initiatives spanning early childhood education, adolescent skill building, climate change, organic farming, and women's livelihoods across West Bengal and the Northeast. Her expertise also includes social and behavior change communication, program design, research, capacity building with work across gender empowerment, child rights, public health, education, and environmental sustainability. She has also contributed to key agencies such as USAID, UNICEF, UN Women, and WWF India. A very warm welcome, ma'am, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I really couldn't get the video on, but I hope you can hear me.
Of
So,
course, ma'am, we can absolutely
thank
hear you.
you and hello to all of the panelists. I'm really happy to be here. I don't know what happened to my camera today, but doesn't matter.
That's
It's
okay, ma'am.
okay.
Thank you
I can
so
see
much.
you, I can hear you. That's fine.
That's lovely.
Absolutely. We can
Thank
also
you.
hear your voice, and that's good enough. Thank
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
thank
All
you.
And now
right.
I'll hand it over to Arvind sir to take the conversation forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Sansita, once again and thank you, Silver Genie, for this session once again. And today again, we are talking about, care. Act of care can uplift the, mood of care, can help the caretakers life become better. For example, we have a home care lady coming to our home. Her name is Bhavani, and whenever she enters her home, I would shout Jai Bhavani, and she would be truly happy to work with us. She would talk to my wife, अरे भैया कैसे इतना एनर्जी रोज ये वो करते करते उसका काम कब पूरा हो जाता है ना वाइफ को पता चलता है। पिछले कितने महीनों से घर में कभी ये नहीं हुआ यार, वो केयर गिवर जो है वो अच्छा काम नहीं कर रही है या क्या कर रही है। एक एक स्मॉल एक्ट, मैं अपना लाइफ एग्जांपल इसलिए शेयर करता हूँ कि जो हमने किया है अगर हम उसके बारे में बात करते हैं तो हम नाइसली बता सकते हैं। सो मुझे लगता है यहाँ जितने भी लोग सुन रहे हैं, अगर वो सब अपने आसपास छोटी छोटी हैबिट्स बना लें। फॉर एग्जांपल, हमारे घर में डिलीवरी बॉय आया है कोई, उसको हम आते ही एक गिलास पानी ऑफर कर दें, उसको पूछ लें भाई इफ यू आर टायर्ड यू कैन रिलैक्स एंड फॉर अ मोमेंट एंड देन डिलीवर द प्रोडक्ट, दैट स्मॉल एक्ट will help that person to live the entire day happily. So there are many such things we will be discussing in the panel. And I will start with my friend Devi. And my first question to you, Devi, some technical glitch is there. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, yes, you
Yes.
are.
Okay, great. Unstable today. My question to you is, in your journey so far, how have you seen our understanding of care evolve, especially within families? Over to you, Devi.
Sure. I think I think very simply put, there's been a huge evolution that we've seen, and we work in the caregiving area as well. We have Nikat from my team here who runs the operations for this. We've seen specifically that care has moved from what used to be an unspoken duty, right?
The glitch at my
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, we
perfect.
can. I can hear you perfectly.
Super, super. So I think where the biggest change we see is that it's moved from a very unspoken duty sort of a factor to a very conscious choice. 30, 40 years back, we inherited roles within joint families, right? There were a lot of hands, there was a lot of shared caregiving responsibilities. And the fact that children will take care of their parents was very understood or was an expectation, and it was fulfilled as a part of the duty of a child. But today, as we're going to nuclear homes, we're finding that there are solo caregivers. What used to be handled in bits or parts by multiple people is now just being handled by one person. And what is therefore happening is that we're finding that caregiving is now becoming a bit of a juggle with, your job, your other tasks, caregiving responsibilities, and a very healthy dose of guilt, right? So there's a lot of things that are coming together from what we see in terms of how we see caregiving having evolved. And now what is happening is that we're hearing about terms like caregiver burnout, etc. And I think current caregivers who are perhaps in their 40s and 50s are also wondering, saying, if this is what I'm doing for my parents, am I going to get the same kind of care? Where will I go? Is a question that's coming into a lot of caregivers' mind, right? But from a care receiver's point of view, again, that whole shift of saying I'm entitled to care from my children has moved, I think, there's definitely a lot of gratitude, but there's also a lot of fear in terms of saying, will my child continue to take care of me? Am I going? And therefore, we're seeing this huge movement from saying that I sacrificed and brought up my children, and therefore now I'm entitled to be taken care of, has moved to saying, am I becoming a burden? Because there is a lot of fear, right? What used to be, a given in terms of security of a joint family, in terms, the whole family will bear the intensity of the older or elder generation's care, has now given way to a lot of gratitude, which is great, but it's also fear. So, you're finding that care receivers are a little worried. They're a little conscious, saying, am I taking up too much of my child's privacy? Right? Am I being too much of trouble? There's a lot of anxiety that's coming into the care receiver as well. Right? So, we're seeing changes in both. So, caregivers are now feeling very isolated in their whole devotion and dedication to caregiving, which is, I'm having to do this all by myself. And elders are beginning to feel guilty for needing it, which in the past wasn't there, right? Elders wouldn't feel guilt for needing care. So we're seeing that both generations have lost the buffer zone, which used to be a joint family, right? And I think where there was a distribution of the care, and nobody bore a brunt of this emotional weight. Was not born alone; it was born together. And I think that's the biggest change I see. I work in the mental health space, as you're all aware, so I'm going to speak largely about the emotional needs. And I think that's the biggest change that I see, Arvind.
wow, powerful. Thank you so much. In between, somewhere due to the glitch of network, I missed some conversation, but I could get the gist that time is changing and a role of caregiver and caretaker both evolving with time. And thank you so much for sharing. I'll go to now before I coming back to you for second question. You can relax for a moment. Avitesh, work on black architecture or
Yes.
architecture affect how people feel inside it.
So, talking about black architecture, so it comes out from the architecture psychology, and which is an academic field to explore the impact of architecture on humans, their feelings, and the behaviors. So, whenever I talk about the black architecture, the people think it is the black building in color or the darkness. I'm talking about the building that is without light, or a building where a person is not able to understand the map of the building or the gist of the particular building. Or sometimes they thought that a person is sad who is talking about that building or who is going to perceive that building. But no, it is not like that. So whenever we talk about the emotions in architecture, it is all about how you are going to perceive it. So for example, if you have a building with a good ventilation and you can see the greenery outside, inside you have a very good area, so you can understand that you will feel welcoming there, right? But if I'm talking about a dark basement, then you will feel unsafe first. Then second, you will feel some danger, the safety issue that is not even welcoming for you. So that is the thing that architecture is going to impact you. A particular building, if you are watching the greenery and the open area, that means you are feeling the welcoming. But this is how architecture is going to impact you. And with this thing only, when I'm talking about the black architecture, so how I justify this, that your mind is a 24/7 working machine. So whenever you are watching or you are listening, that is your input for your mind, and the outcome, the output, what is going to your emotions, that will be the emotion you are going to understand the particular area, building, or a person. It can be anything, but I'm from architecture, so I'll talk about the buildings first. So
True.
for example, if I saw a flower pot, and if I know that this is a flower pot, so I will judge suddenly in a moment, हाँ ये अच्छा है, हाँ ये खराब है, then I'll think about it कि do you think I like this or not, मैं अपने मन में वो बातें करने लगूंगी. But for a small kid who doesn't know about that particular element, he will ask to the mother or the father ki, what is this. So this is the mind, how it works. But the impacts come out in few emotions. It can be positive or the negative. So talking about the positive emotions, it can be love, excitement, calmness, pride. And talking about the negative emotion, it can be bore, anger, fear. Sometimes it is depressed. So that depressed emotion is called dark experience, and this dark experience is the black architecture. Okay, so for everything, I'm from architecture, so I'm talking about the building. So whenever I talk to my students, because being a professor, I need to tell them that you have to create a space who is welcoming to the another person, because the human being is going to live there. So this black architecture should not there. And talking about the people one to one, our own voice, our own expressions, the emotions should not be the black ones, so that we can welcome with our emotions to the another person. So this is how the care starts in the architecture.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Wonderful. Very nicely explained. Thank you so much. And I think we all can relate. Devi lives in Bangalore, and the weather of Bangalore is very pleasant throughout the year. Okay, one fine day, me, Arun Pai, Pankaj, we were walking on the road and we were discussing that, people in Bangalore are calmer than and more peaceful than compared to North India, because our weather conditions are like we have more than four weathers in North India. गर्मी सर्दी कभी मिक्स बारिश धूल बहुत कुछ है वहाँ थोड़ा शांति है पूरे साल AQI नॉर्मल है 40 के आसपास है सो सिमिलर वे इफ इन योर हाउस You have greenery around, you feel more calm, more peaceful, more subtle, more agile, more, effective. So I can relate with this, and this truly makes a lot of sense. I'll go to Anuradha Bhattacharji. I think we can't see you, but we would love to hear
I
you.
apologize for that again. There's
No,
nothing I
ma'am,
can
we,
do.
we can feel your positivity with the voice, but I
Yes.
feel I'm sorry ki I cannot see you, but
The
it
next
was really
time, I
nice.
think he probably decided to go bust today. What else can I say? That's technology.
Let's go forward. Great. So, from your perspective, Anuradha, how do you see caregiving as the foundation of social development?
I think, whoever framed this particular question chose an absolutely foundational statement to me, because for me, this statement, I thought about it a lot. I work in the caregiving space, I worked in the care economy in an unorganized space as well. And I thought caregiving really starts from a child to a mother at the beginning. And
Right.
from that, I sort of developed the concept of the circle of care, because the child being nurtured and cared for by the mother grows up to be a carer. It sees care around him or her. It sees the mother care for maybe siblings, the father, older people, pets, helpers. So the circle of care continues and widens, and the child feels that care, and the person who gets care generally gives care back. And you would see it, a happily brought up cared for child will be caring and friendly in school. It will grow up to be a caring person, will similarly in work, in his own life. So it is truly a foundational statement, and I would say underpins the circle of care concept. And you would see that uh, an abused child or an unhappy child will not be a very happy or caring caregiver in later life. You wouldn't see a person wanting to be a nurse or taking care. It generally works like that. So yes, caregiving is an absolutely foundation of development, and it starts right from birth.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuradha. Very true. Mother and son or mother and daughter caregiving is the foundation, right? Great. I'll go back to Devi. Now you've relaxed a lot. Let me take the second question. Many of our Adda members, Adda is Silver Genie Adda, and members are like who are listening to you, me, and Avitesh and Anuradha. Okay, Adda members play caregiving roles within their families. How can caregivers also look after their own emotional well being while caring for others? And it's a big, big thing. A caregiver becomes emotionally drained while caring for others and sometimes feel lonely. So, how they can take good care of themselves? Over to you, Deep.
Yeah, I think that's a that's a very good question. I think the first thing we need to talk about is I don't think we as caregivers give ourselves permission, right? We are so focused on perfection that we don't give ourselves permission. It's not like we lack self-care ideas. We know what we need, but I think um, the permission that we have to give ourselves to claim time for ourselves without guilt is where we really there's a big gap there, saying if I don't do this, who will? And we start judging a lot of ourselves, right? Very often, and I say this a lot to our parents and our adults that we work with, saying that, and to our older children as well, that your emotions are just feedback, right? Your emotions are just feedback about what you're doing. They're not real. It's just a perspective that your brain is giving you. Oftentimes we think of that as the answer. So saying, am I, by taking time out, am I doing something wrong? And even if you feel guilt, or you feel thoughts like, how can I do this? My mother, gave up everything for me. My father gave up everything for me. It is, yes, they did. but that does not mean you don't need time to rejuvenate, right? So giving ourselves permission is very, very important. I'm going to start with that. And that's something that we also, in our caregiver training sessions, we actually tell them saying, give yourself permission, number one. Number two is give, what really works is micro exits. Oftentimes there are caregivers who say, no, I can't go away for a whole weekend, I can't take a week off, and you don't need to. But what you do need is micro exits on a daily basis. um, I don't know about the others, but both Arvind and I run, and we run long distance, right? The big thing about running long distance is you can't keep going, you can't keep going, you have to take those small breaks. If you're running, oftentimes in a marathon they say that it's not about injuries, right? It's as much of a mental game as much as it is a physical game. So something like caregiving, especially for the elderly, is a marathon, and you need those small breaks very cautiously placed so that they give you energy for running again, right? The next kilometer, next 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, right? You're taking care of someone, you have medications to give at different times of the day. There's doctor calls at sometimes, there's definitely crisis management that happens, etc., right? So when a caregiver breaks, it's not one big thing, it's actually compounded small small things, and therefore there is a lack of pause. So even if you can't take a big break, you can take that small pause, let's say every 4 hours or 3 hours, whenever you want. Take 10 minutes off and go back to doing something, preferably not on the phone, but go back to taking a pause where you have a phone call with somebody who's there to support you, right? Friends. Stand in the balcony, like Avitesh was saying, if it's green and lush, sit down, or even go down, sit down and take a deep breath and just come out of that space of caregiving, to be in this present space where you're actually saying, this feels good, right? So that's a big thing we need to do. The second thing is, I don't think we name the load that we're carrying as caregivers, right? When somebody says, how are you, to a caregiver, either we're too scared to say, I'm not able to hold it up, because we feel the need to say, I'm okay, I've got this under control, or we just say, I'm tired. That's not wrong to say that you're tired. Everybody does feel tired about across a period of time of constant caregiving, but it's incomplete, right? That statement is very incomplete. You're not just physically tired. You are tired because you're making medical decisions sometimes without complete information. So there's fear, there is worry, right, of making a mistake. You are managing everybody else's emotion also. Remember, as the primary caregiver, people are constantly calling you. For example, I cared for my father during his last year through cancer. The number of calls I had to make to other people was actually quite irritating. In fact, at some point of time, I told his brother, saying, "Bhai, if you want update, you call me. Please don't wait for me to call you and then say, how come you didn't call me and give me an update, because I can't take on that, job as well. It's too much for me, right?" You're also taking care of fears in the house, right? If you have an elderly, your children's fear about maybe the grandparent passing on, what is happening to them, etc., right? You're carrying your own anticipatory grief. For all of us who are caregivers, that sick feeling in the stomach, right? Saying, I know this person's going to pass on, or will this person pass on, but what all will they go through? That, anticipatory grief actually psychologically really really drains you, because you're waiting for something terrible to happen, right? And you're scared about it. So again, that's something big that we carry. And then, of course, finally, there is a healthcare system that was not built for dignity, right? Caring for the elderly is something that we know is going to get bad across a period of time. And we're trying to hold everything together. So when you're holding all of this together, say it out very loudly, call these out, to say that I'm making medical decisions without having complete information, and it scares me. Who can help? I need help in this space, right? It might be, I'm not saying abdicate the decision making, but saying that I'm scared about making this decision without complete information is actually defining what you're worried about, instead of saying, no, I'm so tired of everything, because then you're asking for very specific help. You're also telling yourself that this is one of the major fears I'm carrying, which is adding to my emotional issues, right? And find one person that you can actually go ahead and say things to. One honest person. It could be a therapist, it could be a close friend, it could be a sibling, but it could be somebody from Silvagini, anywhere, right? but one person who's completely non-judgmental, because sometimes what happens is, we love the people we're caring for, but we're exhausted by them, right? If you
Right.
have a parent with dementia, there's so many layers of problems that we're handling, right? We're not being recognized, their paranoia, the elderly are depressed, they get upset, right? They're regressing into their childhood phase. We're carrying a lot, and we need someone to say, to be able to say, yes, I understand you as a parent, but this is just so annoying, right?
Right.
um, and it's okay to feel that way, because we keep that in our mind. Remember, we want to remember the best of our loved ones, when throughout their lives and after them. This is about honoring them, and honoring our loved ones doesn't mean that we all have to hold it together. We're allowed to be human, so give yourself that permission to go ahead and find that one person that you can actually just be yourself to. Remember, they will not judge you for it. They will know that emotions are high, stress is high, and that we all need that place to just vent and walk back. But I would say these are perhaps three things. Just to quickly recap, give yourself permission. Take small pauses. Even if you can't take a big break, take small pauses during the day, because you're handling too many things. Think of it as a marathon. Like, every 7-10 kilometers, you need to walk for about 10 minutes to get your breath back, and then you run again, right? Think of it as re-energizing for yourself. Name that invisible load you're carrying. Think of all the various fears you have. Name it. It could be, like I said, making medical decisions without enough information, annoyance that your sibling is not able to support you in some decision making. I've been a part of my husband's family is from the north, and every decision is a family decision, where when they sit, nobody takes a decision. And it's very frustrating for me, because I'm someone who's pros cons and
Absolutely.
pros on a decision, right?
Right.
So it's very frustrating, where aap batao, you're like, yeah, after 15 minutes, koi to batao, please just open your mouth
कोई तो
and say,
बता.
and take that hard call, right? um, so
Absolutely.
name that pain, because then people will hear you. And thirdly, find a person who is non-judgmental and completely accepting, and allow yourself to actually say, I'm tired, or this, my dad's got dementia and I'm really frustrated, or my mother, which is the case, situation in my case, where she's just had a heart, she's had an angioplasty about 2 months back, and I know she's not on her diet, right? When I ask her, she just says, ha, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. She's not doing it. You're like, you know, you need to have somebody. So I go to my best friend and say, "Yeah, jhoot bol rahi hai. She's lying to me." And it's like, okay, let's come back. Right? What is the most important thing? To not focus on the fact that you're annoyed with her, but to say, how do we slowly say what is not letting her come back on plan? Right? Somebody reflect with you and bring you back to base, not judge you for saying that, what, you're being a bad child. I would say these are the three big things, Arvind.
Fantastic. Very right. Taking a pause, as you rightly mentioned, while running a marathon, if you don't take a pause, you will feel exhausted in between itself before completing. Same way in life, you should take a pause, think, relax, and talk to your siblings, take their buy-in in your decision making. And we all have gone through such emotions. I've also gone through, you've also gone through, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience have gone through these emotions and would be able to relate with it. How they should take care of themselves and how important it is to take care of self before taking care of anybody else. राइट सो जैसे कि एरोप्लेन में कहते हैं इन केस ऑफ इमरजेंसी एंड लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन put your mask first, so take good care of yourself first. That is very important. Your physical mental health is very important, and then only you can be a good caregiver. Fantastic. Very exciting. We'll go back to Avitesh again. Avitesh, hope you can hear me.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So my next question to you is, for you, is architecture also an expression of care? How can a well-designed space make a person feel safe or loved? So safety and love both are very powerful
Very, very
emotions.
important factors in everything. See, for example,
Everything,
if I'm
absolutely.
talking about the building, so for me, the first thing is, if I'm working somewhere, that place should look good so that I can feel comfortable, happy, and the cheerful. See, before the love and or the safety, we need to be cheerful first. Then only we
Right.
can understand that yes, we want to live. So cheerful spaces
Absolutely.
are really, really required. That's why we call these places recreational places. For example, you have parks in your society so that you can take a walk. So as Devi just discussed, that you need a pause, but where you need to go, that space is created by the architecture. So you can go to park, you can go to the balcony, right? Because you need a long breathe so that you can understand what next. So these are the spaces created by the architecture or the architects working on it. Now they are playing with the labels so that you can feel the alone also for some time. You need a space. Yes. So and what I actually suggest people, apart from the architecture and the good place design, that you should have one, at least one choice in the life, so that you can feel good with that. For example, I have one of my student who is in masters. He bought soft toys of 18,000, and other girls were laughing on him because he's a boy, so he cannot buy. I said, why not? If he feels happy with this, he should. एक इंसान के
Absolutely.
पास एक तो अच्छी चीज होनी चाहिए कि वहां जाके खुश हो जाए. So if I'm
Correct.
talking about myself, I just feel happy if my workplace is good. So every time I design new exercises for a student, this time they painted umbrellas, which was the first exercise in the whole college. So they painted umbrellas, they were so happy, so they created a small space with the umbrellas, and they sit together there for 2 hours and they discussed about the painting, their experiences. They were feel very, very happy. So this is not just to create the permanent structure. Sometimes you need to create some temporary structures just to vent out your feelings. You can sit together, you can work on it. So I think the care is important. Safety is more important, but being a cheerful person is really, really important with the place.
Fantastic. And being from the real estate industry now, I can definitely say an architectural, well built, is only when an architecture is taking care of safety, love, family emotions, then only an architecture can make the good design. And whatever we all are talking, we all need a space where we can enjoy those emotions with ourselves and with our family. So it's definitely very important. And thank you so much for shaping your answer so well. Before I go to Anuradha Bhattacharji, I would request the audience, if you have any questions, please write in the chat box. And, I would love to take your questions from the panelist. And it will be really great to interact through you with the panelist. So please, you can start writing your questions, and I will read it after this question from Ms. Anuradha Bhattacharji. So you can hear me, Ms. Bhattacharji?
Yes, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. So, my question to you is, when designing programs around caregiving, how can we ensure that the caregiver's emotional fatigue and need for support are not overlooked?
Was that a question for me? Because I have perils of caregiver stress, actually, silent caregiver stress. Shall I take it from that point of view?
Yes, please.
Yes, because this is something actually we are dealing with. As you know, I work with Tribeca Elder Care in Kolkata as a consultant, and we deal with motivating our caregivers all the time because they are dealing with elders in need of health and emergencies. There are deaths, there are people sliding into dementia. So caregiver stress, I think, is a very big concept that we need to do, whether it is in a structured hospital or caregiving setting, or even in the home. Because as Devi also said, and this is some of it, I'm repeating what she said, caregivers, nobody understands caregiver stress, least of all the caregiver. There is guilt. I shouldn't be feeling this. This is my duty. This is my mother. she has dementia. How can I feel sad or angry or frustrated because she's my mother? But this is absolutely not correct, because there's a physical toll, a mental burden, and every caregiver needs a support around, whether it's a friend or a therapist, whatever it is. And more, I think that in a caregiving agency like a Silver Genie or a Tribeca, we have systems to support. We have psychologists internally who come and say, okay, you take a break, you talk about it, you don't feel that you're carrying the whole burden of the world on your shoulders. There are others to help. Caregivers at some point need to realize that they are not alone. You're not a silent ghost. There has to be a family infrastructure or the employees infrastructure. We don't really have much by the way of government infrastructures now. So, I mean, I don't think nurses in hospitals who are dealing with terminal case patients have much recourse to relief of caregiving stress. I don't know if anybody else is, I'm not aware of the hospital situation as such, but I don't think so. They're highly pressured. They're constantly dealing with death, caregiving at the same time with no relief at all. So I think some of the things, if we could do even within the society or community, is having caregiver support groups. We could do that within our clubs and communities, or even the community parks, say like a defense colony. We have associated clubs for fun. We can also have the associated clubs for having a de-stressing kind of workshops sessions. This is what I think, that you are not alone. The togetherness of caregiving needs to be something brought out to relieve caregiver stress. And I think I have more or less just done a little bit more than what Devi told us about. And open up, seek help. Nobody has to be judgmental about that you need help. The people don't actually come out and say that, my God, I can't take it anymore. So somebody help. Those cries for help are always silent. And I have actually lost my mother the last 2 months. So she was a very energetic person, and the decline and things. And I always felt guilty. I felt I wasn't doing something right. And this, I think, would be the same for anybody who is dealing with stress. So burnt out caregivers actually cannot give care properly. So they need as much care as anybody else.
True. Absolutely right, Anuradha. Very well articulated. Caregivers also need care. They don't, they are not only caregivers, they can also be care receivers. And people around them should understand their need and support each other. And definitely, caregivers should also speak up their mind, open up, talk to people around them. So it is two way, it is not one way. And together we can do more. Do we have any questions from the audience? Sansita, can you see any questions in the chat box? The chat box which I am seeing is, I think, only for host and panelist. So
Yes,
maybe
sir.
I'm
I
not
think
able to.
most of the questions will come there only. Currently, I do not see any questions, but I would then ask
Okay.
and urge our audience members to please ask tons and tons of questions, because trust me, this is the platform and we do have one question. So, Arvind sir, would you like to take the question?
Yes, somebody has written something. Dark walls may align with modern Gen Z interiors, but they do not support senior well being or caregiver performance. How should this be taken in a joint family setup? Wow, good question. So,
I
Avikesh, the question is from you. Sorry, for you from Kuhu. And she's asking you, dark walls may align with modern Gen Z interiors, but they do not support senior well being or caregiver performance. How should this be taken in a joint family setup?
Okay, very, very nice thing, because architecture is the only thing which is going to convert individual responsibility to the collaborative one. when you all can be there. For example, I'm just telling you my statement in a brief, that if I'm talking about the joint family, so we had the courtyard housing previously. So whenever a child or the old age person is there, so not just one person but everybody is looking after that, right? But when we came here, now we have the like everybody has a different opinions, different privacy system, and the other thing is that they need a different social culture. Okay, they want to celebrate their own time within in a different way. So for what the question is, the black or the dark color theme for the Gen Z's. But let me tell you that if they'll take it after few months, they will feel that they are going to depress because there
Right.
is no light. Why the elder ones were worshipping the sun? Because they wanted a light, the energy in them. That's why we asked everybody, the elder ones especially, कि सूर्य नमस्कार तो करना ही है.
Right.
That is not about the worship or the aura. They want that aura in you. That's the whole thing. So we need to understand our Gen Zs also, जो हमारे बच्चे हैं, and also tell them that what is the actual scientific reason behind some work, कि वो कैसे काम करने वाला है. For example, talking about the light and the black colors, whenever you are using it, after a few minutes you will feel very depressed. For example, the light I'm getting during the work from the right hand side will not work actually properly. If I'm taking this light from the left hand side, then whenever I'm writing, this light is on the paper. Otherwise, सीधे हाथ पे अगर light है, then उसकी shadow on the will cast on the paper, right? But initially you will not understand this because you just put it the lamp there. But whenever you are working for the hours, you will understand कि हाँ इसकी light तो इतना cast हो रही है और मेरे को उससे problem हो रही है. This is the whole thing that we need to tell them scientifically, that this color theme will not work. And if there is a situation that they are not understanding your point, then you can ask them to stay somewhere which is not the permanent housing. For example, if they are going on any trip, you can ask them to stay in a dark room so that they can understand in a few days and come back and understand your point of view. So you can do this also with the junior ones.
Great. Kuhu, hopefully you got the answer. Yeah, your thumbs up is saying yes. Okay. See, another question is from Pushkar Chawla. What kind of changes we can make to increase the positivity of our home and workplace? I
Okay,
think
so
again,
first of all, yes, yes. First of all, you need to check the color of your curtains. Are they dark? Are they heavy? The second thing is you need to check your openings. What are you looking at? Because not every time you are going to sit outside in the balcony. Sometimes you just need to see outside, sitting on the couch
true.
in the living room. So you need to check that also, just to change your perspective. Third thing, try to sit on the ground and do some activities there, because whenever you are sitting on the ground you will feel more comfortable. And this is yoga, but yes, body is also feel good, and you can do some activities, some work, even though if this is an office work or some house chores, so you can just contribute some time with doing that on the ground. You'll feel very positive. uh, on the point of architecture, I can say that you can change a color of only one wall and you will feel the positivity inside your house. Just do this.
Absolutely. So, my wife has been practicing this at home. She would change the color of one wall, and that one wall will change the, environment of the house. And
Yes.
all curtains in my house are bright color and very catchy, attractive color, so that uplift the mood in the house. So I can relate with this. I would like Devi also to answer this question. Like, other than the design part, what kind of changes we can make to increase the positivity of our home and workplace. So, any suggestions from your side? And Anuradha from you also after Devi.
Yeah, I think I focus a lot more on plants. I find that it brings a very that's what I find very soothing. So lots of light, lots of plants is what I focus on. So when my mother was with me, fortunately, when my father was unwell, this was quite a while back, almost 15 years back. But this time when my mother was unwell, um, I made those changes already, where there's a bit of a garden that she can see. So when she sits up, right, she's able to see the balcony full of plants and stuff like that. When I started making her walk, her rehabilitation, what I would do is I live in a house in Bangalore, so I'm lucky enough to be able to have a small garden outside. So we'd go and sit outside, and you could see that it made me feel good. It definitely made her feel very, very good. She started, looking forward to it. As we were building this garden a few years back, about 4 years back, my father-in-law was with us. He had moved from Delhi to our house, and we didn't know it, but those were his last few months. And we have this Rangoon creeper outside our house. And I think that was something that he used to love going and sitting at. So in the evening, he would say, Beta, I want to go and sit there. So we'd get the chair out and, we'd get Baba to sit out there. And he quite enjoyed it. He quite loved sitting there quietly and talking. I think those are times when, at least for me, I find that plants and greenery definitely bring a certain level of calmness, and I think it's very rejuvenating for all of them. We're lucky if we can have flowering plants, but
True.
otherwise,
Very
even in
true.
greenery, I think there's a lot of good feeling. In fact, we've seen that spending time in nature, and we work a lot with neurodiverse children. I don't know if any of the caregivers here care for children with autism, etc., Downs, cerebral palsy, etc. We find that spending time in nature actually does bring down some of the more extreme sensory reactions that children have when they're just in concrete areas. We find that they are far, far happier. Just an hour out in a garden for a child who's, even I'm saying even when we have non-verbal autistic children, right? They respond very, very well. Children with ADHD who are functional in all ways but have ADHD, there's a huge difference when they go ahead and spend time in nature.
No, I agree
Absolutely.
there.
Very well articulated.
I think the color green itself is very soothing. So to be able to
True.
be out in a park or get that green into your house as your balcony. I have plants in my balcony, and I miss the days when I lived in big houses with huge gardens because my father was in the army. So I belonged to army cants kind of growing up. And the other thing I would add to this, your home environment bringing peace to your psyche, is I think we also have a few of your favorite things around you, like favorite books, having music play. While I know I would love, I sometimes in my mind aspire to a very clean, all glass, very Scandinavian, fantastic, beautifully sort of designed workplace. At the end of it, I think having your favorite things around, the mother's photograph, you one old beautiful handicraft you picked up from a holiday. These are things which I think are memories of your own life around you. I think it creates,
Absolutely.
you surround it with yourself rather than perfection of, your carpet is always fantastic and your something is. I don't mind, my couches were never clean because my dog sat on it. They were not supposed to, but would I prefer to have the dog or the couch? The dog anytime. So a home is a home with your memories and loved things.
Absolutely right. Truly, truly. And this is wonderful, wonderful conversation with you all. I don't know how we've come to the end of the
I know it went so
session.
fast.
It went so very well, and I can continue to talk to you for many hours, and it is so much enriching, conversation with you all. So thank you so much for all your inputs. There is one more last question. Oh, somebody has deleted that. Anyways, Somebody wrote that I would request Silver Genie to take all the caregivers for a trip. So, so this message is for you, Satsita. Curate some
Yes.
trips for caregivers and
I think
take
your
them out.
suggestion is very well noted. We
Yeah,
will get back to you on that suggestion. I think it was wonderful having everyone here. I think Arvind sir very
yeah,
rightly. I think before we conclude the session, I think it will be nice if we can hear a little closing words from Arvind sir and all our speakers as well.
yeah. So, my closing word today would be, as everybody said, green space, is good to have around you. So, in real estate business, we talk about luxury, ultra luxury, and uber luxury kind of words these days, especially in Mumbai and Gurgaon. It has become a norm. So, here I always advocate for wherever you have maximum green space, that is the luxury space, whether it is expensive or cheap, whether it is an affordable house or a uber luxury expensive house. But if you have green space around you, then you are having luxury, because in times to come, green space and clean breathe would be a very, very rare thing to get. And that is how I feel. This is my closing words. So all of us can make this world a better place to live. Thank you. Over to you, Devi.
I'm going, I'll come back to the mental health part. Just one of the things that I want to talk about when we work with people who are caregivers. I think one thing that we always request them to look at is progress. And progress for someone, for example, if you're taking care of an elderly person or a terminally ill person, is not coming back to status quo, right? A person who's old and is unable to walk is going to continue to actually find it more difficult to walk. Your 85, 88-year-old parent is not going to be able to walk like they were in their 40s again. So progress, I think, has to be redefined. That's one request that I have. And I think because we are expecting it to go back, it blinds us to real wins, right? Wins at that point of time could very easily be a whole week of walking without any falling, right? So reset some of those. What progress means has to be reset, right? Remember also that when your expectation is that they will go back, you're making you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. You're also putting a fair amount of perhaps a little bit of shame on the care receiver, because they also say, oh, I should be going back to that, right? While they physically and physiologically cannot, right? So that's another thing. So don't burn yourself out. I think looking to moving towards reframing the meaning of progress with, like I said, right, 1 week of no fall, uh, reduced perhaps reduced anxiety or agitation in the parent, right? More moments of joy and humor, more moments of laughing. This is what will, we have to reframe as progress. I just want to leave everybody with that thought, because anytime we speak, we find that a lot of them say, oh, my father's not back to walking, or my mother's not back to movement. As they're growing older, perhaps they never will, and we have to accept that. But we can reframe life, because we're also not what we were 20 years back. Our parents are definitely not going to be that, right? So I think that's one thing that I would always say: reframe it, because it resets the bar for you as a caregiver. It also resets the bar for the care receiver, which makes it very easy for them. Those would be my parting words.
Okay, so talking about the architecture and the care, if I say that the first point, yes, of course, you already covered, Arvind, which is green. But the second thing I would love to say, that whenever you are in a home, don't move your energy according to home. Your home should move as per your energy, right? So if you have the furniture in your home, you can shift it a little bit. You can feel positive. A wall can change, curtains you can change. So the positivity, the aura you have to create, and you are the aroma of the house, so you have to
Right.
be cheerful. Also, whenever you are feeling like low or something else, so you can just change the aroma or add aroma in your living area, you'll feel really happy. So architecture is all about this. If you turn on one light, you can see a small place. That will be your space to work. But if you turn on 10 lights, you can see there is a lots of space there, right? So it's all about you, how much light you are going to turn on, right? So just be positive, be happy, and this is all about this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Light within and light outside.
Yes.
Both will
Lovely
enlighten
thought.
you. Miss Bhattacharjee, over to
I
you.
think I what I would like to say as a closing remark would be it was actually one of the questions which never got asked, and it is about empowerment. We never covered that. And empowerment is a very big word which in caregiving is doesn't exist actually. I mean, societally it doesn't exist. Caregivers are not empowered, whether they're, I mean, right from in within the home, whether it's a mother or whether it's a mothers change diapers, fathers don't. It might be, I'm not, this is not a generalization. Maybe there are modern fathers, but in general, no. There is no empowerment for any form of caregiving, whether it's for a mother in the fields nursing her baby or whether it's a caregiver in a hospital. This job does not have empowerment or respect or dignity as yet. And how we bring it about, whether it's through government policies, societal change, mindset change, I think it needs to be brought in. Nurses are not given the empowerment that they need. Nobody is. So I think empowerment should be a kind of a 360 degrees for making caregivers support, give the care to a care recipient and be respected for it, and be given the support systems, whether it's training, better pay, better space, time off, holidays. None of this really exists in any of our caregiving, unorganized, organized economy. The care economy doesn't have empowerment. And I've seen this even in my development sector interactions with women.
Fantastic. You want to say something, Avitesh? Unmute yourself.
Ma'am
Yeah,
said really, really good point that we all need holidays, right? But as a human being, हमारी आदत है कि हम उन्हीं हॉलीडेज पे सबसे ज्यादा काम इकट्ठा करके रखते हैं कि मुझे यहाँ भी जाना है, मुझे ये भी करना है, मुझे ये करना है. So actually we need to understand the meaning of holiday. We need to lay down and rest. That is for body and mind. But
that's
on the
true,
same
of
days,
course.
but on the same days, ma'am, we are working too much extra because we have to complete all the work we have collected for the 15 days. Now I'm getting the holiday. I'll do this. So this is our nature nowadays. We have to change that.
I think you are the workaholic. When you reach my age, you treasure holidays.
Hmm.
Anyway, how
Miss
lovely to have
Bhattacharjee
met
is
and
actually
interacted
enjoying
with all of
holidays.
you.
Avitesh, you can learn from her how to enjoy holidays.
Sure.
Over to you, Prakhar and Sansita. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to, talk to each other about caregiving. And yes, I truly believe that if we all come together, contribute in this space, we can definitely transform, and the mission of Silver Genie would be fulfilled. Silver Genie is here to transform the industry for caregivers and care receivers. So great job you guys are doing. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
I
you.
think a very big thank you from my side. I'm extremely grateful to you, speakers, because the topics we I think I mentioned this a lot of times to you all that I was so excited to have such a diverse panel with us, from architecture to mental health to caregiver stress. And I think I do wish we had like hours and hours of this session where I can just listen to all of you speak. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. But it's such a welcoming sight to see all of us come together to one common topic and discuss about caregivers and finally see and give them the recognition that they deserve. Anuradha ma'am very rightly said that, sometimes they are very unseen. So, and on a very positive note, also, I'm very excited and happy to see Soreshwar sir also. He was a panelist for our last webinar. He also joined our session. So, thank you. And just before parting words, I would also like to thank all our speakers with a little memento from our side. If you can see, this is our brand cup as well. And This is a little thank you. And of course, you can see it from Arvind sir's screen
Thank
also.
you. I have already received it. All of you would receive it.
So, thank you so much, speakers. I think I'll pass it on to Prakhar sir. He'll have
Yes,
the
yes,
concluding statements now. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And it was a very meaningful dialogue which we had in this webinar as well as the previous one. Really relates to each one of us, in whatever capacity we are caregivers for someone. I'm sure either for our children or for our parents or even for our siblings. So this means a lot to us and really upholds the value of caregiving in its true sense. So thank you everybody for joining, and we'll definitely meet soon for the next webinar of the season. Yes, and thank you, speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, all of
Thank
you,
you.
Uh,
for arranging such a beautiful session.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Thank
You
you.
everyone.
organized it
Thank
really well. I
Thank
loved
you, ma'am.
every bit of the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in as well.
thank
Thank you,
Have a
you.
very good
Silvagini
evening.
and Sansita, for all your hard work.
Thank you so much, Anuradha, ma'am. You're very kind to say that. Thank you, everyone.
okay.
Thank
Take care.
Bye
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Stay well, everyone. Bye bye.